just a moment. Now, Paul, who was, of course, writing to the church at Ephesus, he was basically bringing a Hebrew and godly idea to a pagan society. And he said simply this: For this cause shall a man leave his father and mother and be joined unto his wife, and the two will become one flesh. Well, right now, I have no doubt that I'm living in a pagan society. All you have to do is look at it politically, socially, economically, also as well culturally and educationally. You can definitely see that. Now, my country of Canada was actually back in 1982 declared a non-Christian society. That means the majority of the people in my country don't either subscribe to the Judeo-Christian ethic or don't even believe in God. The church attendance right now in my country is about 7% of the population. And if you break it down between Catholic and Protestant, you'll find that, for example, my background is, of course, Protestant. You'll find that we're probably less than 5% of the population. So basically, I'm living in a pagan heathen society. So also with that concept is the brand new views of marriage and what partnership is all about. So here I am talking to basically a pagan society, reminding them that God had a plan. God's idea was, of course, that a man would leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife, and the two would become one flesh. Now, unfortunately, most people are not subscribing to that idea these days. And if they are, they're not looking at it as a lifetime commitment. Now, I happen to be a clergyman. And so whenever I enter into a marriage contract with someone that I'm going to perform their marriage, I remind them that this is a lifetime commitment contract. And they all say, oh, yeah, that's perfectly fine. And yet, many people today are looking at this not that way. And that is, of course, a major problem. Number one, if you're not looking at marriage as a lifetime commitment, then my first question is, why are you even entering into it? Is it because someone is pressuring you? Is it because somebody is, giving you ideas about this? Maybe yourself, you're thinking it is a lifetime commitment. But you got to understand something about marriage and about, lifetime commitments. It's not always easy. In fact, sometimes it's downright tough to be able to stay with someone. Now, I've been married to the same lady since 1979. But I can tell you that there are times where she has annoyed me and I have annoyed her. And there have been times where, it has really been a struggle and it's not easy. But you know what? It's our commitment and our loyalty to each other that makes it work. But here I am, bringing this archaic idea to a society that has basically abandoned the whole idea of what marriage is all about. And sometimes it's kind of bad when the church is standing and saying, well, we recognize certain forms of, union today, and we're going to bless those unions. Listen, I admit that I am bringing an archaic idea. I'm bringing a Judeo-Christian idea to a pagan society. But I've discovered something, and I can only speak for myself and for many of my friends because of the fact that we believe that God needs to be involved in a marriage contract. And that when you're standing before someone such as myself, you are making a lifetime commitment. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about God's mathematics on this one. And that's simply this, that God believes that we bring 100% to the table. Both you and your spouse say, okay, I am laying aside my own agenda and I am going to work together. We're going to become a fluid couple. His idea of marriage is the two become one, not two people gathered together and somehow mold this together. It means that you allow God to be part of the contract, and you allow God to be the one who helps you through the rough edges. And one of the things that I came across just in this same chapter as I was looking at it, the secret for men is the fact that they need to take responsibility for their part. And that means not abdicating, but working together with your spouse. I want to tell you something. You don't always understand them, okay? And that's why they call it the battle of the sexes, because basically we're made differently. Men and women are wired differently, and that's okay, because the strength of one is able to help the weakness of the other. You have two imperfect people that are slowly becoming perfect together, and that's what it's all about. And so you work together. It is a working process. It's a lifetime process. And some of the problems don't magically go away. You need to understand that you are working together. The Bible tells us that a woman was made out of a man's side, not out of his head to be above him, not out of his feet to be stomped on, but to be made out of his rib so that they would be working together, enabling each other, becoming something together. I have seen some incredible couples. They're not perfect, not by any stretch of the imagination, but they're becoming something together. And it has been often said that behind a successful man is actually a successful woman. So remember that today. And again, I'm talking about something that is considered foreign in our society today. We have so many weird concepts about what marriage is and what a union is together. And I want to give you a little statistic to think about. 8 out of every 10 relationships where people end up, moving in together, they break apart. So this idea, well, I'll test it out first. Listen, ladies, listen, men, if you're selling the whole store before it even gets started, I can guarantee that you have a consumer idea concerning marriage. So don't live together. It doesn't work. And statistically, it proves it over and over again. And so, again, I know I'm bringing an archaic idea, but that's what Paul was doing. Paul was bringing a Judeo idea to a pagan world. And he was saying to those people of that day, and I'm saying to this people, this is the best way to come into marriage. It really is. A man leaves his father and mother and cleaves to his wife, and the two become one. It's something to definitely think about. I know it works because I've seen it work hundreds of times, and I've seen successful marriages, and I have been part of the counseling of that particular situation. So I just want to tell you it works. I know it's archaic. I know it is something from, way back. But let me tell you something. Something way back is definitely the best way to go. Time-tested ideas and time-tested concepts and time-tested promises are the things that last, not these new wild ideas that we have coming, because there's too much damage going on in relationships. Let's try it God's way. I know it works. A little thought for you today. My name is Robert Dean Steele, and if you like what you've been hearing and seeing, then I encourage you to press the like button and subscribe to my YouTube channel.